phone, but I actually sat there and I could hear the whole conversation. And I was just like, ooh. And I was just thinking, Chris is going to lose this in a minute. Chris is going to lose it in a minute. I was like, please don't lose it, Chris. I'd like to get a board, try this board out. But yeah, the stuff he was saying on the phone, just his whole attitude.
Just had to order some food before we started. Turn on notifications so I can know when it gets here. Hey, all right. Yep, it's on the way. Cool.
Jumping into the podcast, this is episode 9.
Yes.
9, yeah. And I know Chris has got a few things to say. So I'm going to let him kick off and start off with this one because I know he's all fired up.
I'm not fired up.
He's dying to get this podcast done. Tell him.
I will preface this by saying that we were at my house editing the whole day. We needed to get a little bit more additional footage filmed, so that's what we were doing. We weren't even essentially intending on coming to the office, but we had to, based off of what happened. So a few days ago, I threw up a post on social media, you guys can see it over here, where I asked essentially, which one of these 3 boards do you want to see us do a video of? Do you want to see the Trampa? Do you want to see the Walgo? Or the one I can never pronounce.
Viril, something like that.
And like unanimously, the votes that came in, it was the Trampa, and then secondly was the Walgo. So I thought, okay, let's call the company up while we're at my house editing. Let's have a conversation with them about what we need to know about their boards, because we know essentially nothing about the boards.
Nothing about the boards whatsoever, but that board I did see on there, and I thought, wow, like when we were riding Evolve boards, that's probably like one of the closest types of competitors that are going to compete with the Evolve boards.
Yeah.
It was, looking on paper, the specs, it goes faster than the Evolve boards, potentially more range.
Yeah,
so
the range looked ridiculous.
I was like, yeah, I'm pumped to try this board out and see if it's better than the Evolve boards.
Exactly. And it was the same with me. I looked online at the spec of the board and I was like, oh my goodness, like 60 kilometers an hour. I was like, hell yeah, let's get that.
Need some of that in my life.
Yeah, obviously the price is much higher than what I'm comfortable spending on a board once you add on the battery and everything else that you need.
That's it, yeah.
For what the spec that we wanted to go for.
That is sort of like your baseline mark there, and then there is like a set other bits that you have to add on if you wanted to sort of spec it out a bit more. But
yeah, so I thought, okay, let's call them up, let's find out what we need to find out. And the most important thing I was thinking is this company's based in the UK, so I was like, awesome. Called them up and I was thinking, COVID, everyone knows what's going on right now, so I don't expect to be able to turn up to like a warehouse, a store, to be able to have a conversation with someone face to face or to, demo a board. So my suggestion essentially was very politely on the phone, we are happy to pay you the full price or whatever sum of money you want for us to be able to be shipped a demo board, like that's a similar spec to what we want to use, because I don't even know what the remotes look like, so we can try it out and use it, because I think the company's based roughly from where we lived, like 2-3 hours drive, which is, it's not feasible to even consider doing that.
No, it's quite a way away, especially with what's going on, to have to drive that distance there to say, I think, like he said, use the board for a couple of hours or something like that and then hand it back over. It just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's a whole day.
In a couple of hours, you're not going to get a real feel for the board or the pros and cons of it. You need to spend a lot more time than just 2 hours on it.
Yeah.
And, we wasn't going out there trying to say, send us a board for free or anything like that. We was literally
trying to buy it.
Okay, so with what's going on and everything, going up there, just having it for a couple of hours isn't going to work out, is it? And your response that you got, I wasn't speaking to on the phone, but I actually sat there and I could hear the whole conversation. And I was just like, ooh, and I was just thinking, Chris is going to lose this in a minute. Chris is going to lose it in a minute. I was like, please don't lose it, Chris. I'd like to get a board, try this board out. But yeah, the stuff he was saying on the phone, just his whole attitude towards...
I'm trying really hard not to use any words that are going to make the podcast get flagged on Apple Podcasts, but essentially...
The bloke was a tool.
Yeah, like everything that I was saying, because I can understand this. Companies get requests all the time for people wanting to essentially use their products for personal gain and then give the products back. That's not what I was trying to do. I was literally saying, we want to buy one of these boards, but before we buy it to be able to make a video of it, we want to be able to see what these boards are like, and we're happy to pay whatever that looks like. If you want the full value of the board sent over to you, you hold on to that money and then you send us a demo board for us to try because of what's going on in the world right now. And then we're able to make a decision on what are these boards like? Is it something that we want to stick with? And the first thing I got back was, you go from introducing yourself as politely as you can, asking questions about a product. The first thing he said that was a red flag for me was, after I was probing and asking questions about the board, because again, remember, I know nothing about it, his response was, I don't have time. I'm busy. I'm a busy man, and I don't have time to talk to you about the board. Now, bear in mind, the number that we called is the number that's on their company website. We called during business hours, during the week that any company would be working. The phone was answered. They said the name of the company. How can they help? So for you to respond with, I'm a busy man and I don't have time to tell you these things, I'm sat there thinking, what? And the conversation kept going from there. The next point was when I was saying, if you can tell me what is the most feasible way for this to work, he said, okay, and started to talk about these group these days that you can come down there and you can pay, I think it was £70 for That's 2 hours to try and ride the board. And I tried to tell him that we live quite far from there, so coming down for 2 hours, paying the money, that's not the issue, but coming down 2 hours when you've driven, essentially more than that, and then you have to spend more than that time getting back, it doesn't make sense. And he essentially cut me off and said, well, if you let me finish, then you'll hear what I'm saying. And that was flag number 2. And it just kept on progressively getting worse. So this guy was getting more aggressive, more rude, and more dismissive. And at the back of my mind, I'm sat here thinking, all I'm trying to do is learn about your product before I spend over £2,000 on a skateboard. Yeah. So you guys have been so keen for us to be able to get one of these boards in. But after having spoke to who I can only assume, I hope to God that wasn't the company owner, because dear God, if that is. And it even went further than that. I thought, this is a pretty bad experience. And like Ricky said, normally, we spend a lot of time together because we film for 2 separate channels together. He knows what I'm like. And I lose my temper very, very quickly. But I held my ground, and I held my own, and I didn't want to be rude because, you don't really know what's going on. You can't get the full picture. So I thought, let me go online and see what I could find. And the reviews that I could find in terms of the text reviews weren't great. On a UK review site that kind of gives you a general consensus on what a company's like, it was 50% excellent, 50% terrible. Those are really crazy stats to see.
They are crazy stats.
And all of a sudden you sit there, don't mean to cut you off, Rick, but you kind of sit there and go, this is a product that lots of people want to see a video of, and there doesn't seem to be much information online about them. I wonder why. I'm going to go ahead and say that I am never going to touch those boards. So if you want to find out more about them, you want to learn what they're like, this channel is not the place that you're going to find that out, because that's probably the rudest I've ever had anyone on the phone to me while I'm inquiring about a product that I'd like to buy. So it's
crazy. That's now you've got that. Like I was going to say to you, I don't understand how he could be that rude and dismissive on the phone, because you was chucking Instagram posts up last week, wasn't you?
Yeah.
Getting your Evolve board, slapping the WowGo sticker on there, little logo on there, and riding about with them. And then WowGo, they saw the funny side of it.
No, it's own board.
Own board, that's it. I always get them muddled up. But yeah, own board, they saw the funny side of it, so fair play to you, own board, and reached out, and they're sending out the carbon for us to take a look at now.
Yeah,
so, how
insane. I was literally making fun of own board, not in a malicious way. I wasn't being rude, but if you guys saw the video on Instagram, I'm sure you did, when I literally on a piece of paper drew the own board logo and then slapped it on my my GTR. And then went for a ride on it. I'm like, review coming soon. I was just having fun with them, and like you said, they inboxed us.
They could have took that the wrong way and thought, you're mocking our product and stuff like that, and never worked with us again. But they just saw the funny side of it, saw there was no harm in it whatsoever. It was just a bit of fun and a bit of playfulness, and they got in touch and sent us a board out. They're sending the carbon out, but we literally just rung Trampa up. To inquire about a board.
To learn. Let's speak to you. It's business hours. You guys are open.
Yeah.
You've called. You've answered. And then you just give us...
Yeah,
I was sat there
speechless.
Honestly, I don't even know how... if you want to buy a board that is, one of these, premium boards, these kind of, homemade... mass-produced boards.
That's what they are, aren't they, really? They're sort of like DIY boards, but...
Like a consumer-friendly DIY one. But if you want to buy those boards that do, monstrous things, do not buy from that company. Because having a look online, clearly I'm not the only person that's had, horrible experiences with their customer service. Do not give them your money. I've never... this is the most ridiculous thing that you could have for a business. You're trying to get information so you can hand someone money for the item that they make.
That's it. And there's a lot of competition within the electric skateboard market as it is now. Boards are coming down in price. So when you're selling a board that costs over $2,000,
you have to justify why it costs that much, and then your customer service has got to be shit hot.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, how can you sell a board that a lot of people clearly from Instagram and YouTube class as a premium board, and people like that. You guys have non-stop gone on about it to a point where we're like, do you know what? Like, let's actually go ahead and get one, and let's see what they're like. Let's see if we can organize a demo board so we can give it a ride and see if it's worth anything.
We didn't want them to send out a brand new board. We asked, have you got a demo board?
And offered to pay
whatever
they wanted. Not, well, you send us the board and then we'll pay. No, we'll pay you right now while we're on the phone. We just want to know that we can get a demo board and ride it around without having to worry about, you've got 2 hours with it and you're going to drive halfway across the country for 2 hours of riding. How about we just pay you whatever you want and you send us that demo board? Obviously, if we run away with it, you have our money, so we lose. It didn't make sense how dismissive that they were being. And I get that, like I say this again, companies get hit up all the time for this type of stuff. But when you are speaking to an adult that is trying to speak to you respectfully, and I'm happy for them to suggest, how about you tell me how this is going to best work? And all you're doing is being horrible, negative, like dismissive, and flat out fucking rude.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you're just like what? I had to hang up on this guy.
Yeah, because he was getting aggressive, wasn't he?
And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I've called you up because I want to pay you
for a board.
during lockdown when normal people aren't spending a few £1,000s on a skateboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, to hell with
Maybe that's why he's stressed.
Maybe, but to hell with that company. Like I said, I'm never ever going to feature that board. And Trampa, if you guys are watching, like,
sort your customer service out.
Honestly, because this is the problem, right? You're charging premium money for a board and you have terrible customer service. Why should anyone buy from you? Like, why? I thought X-Way's customer service was bad. I thought, like, the stuff we've heard about Meepo was bad. I guarantee Meepo's not been rude to anyone. It'd be better if you didn't answer your phone rather than be rude. Because look, this podcast wouldn't have happened.
No.
We left my house.
Yeah, we literally left your house. This has been fueled because we edited. Was looking at the boards, and I just mentioned, I said, out of the 3 boards we posted the other day on Instagram, what was the most popular one that the most people wanted to see? It was the Trampa. So I was like, well, let's just ring them up then. They're based in the UK. So we just rang them up to get a board and then just got abused down the phone, basically.
It's
savage.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever had. And it's like the motivation for us to get out of my house, drive half an hour to the office,
to film an episode.
To film this episode, to tell you guys to stay the hell away from that company is horrible. And I'm sure, like, a lot of you maybe some of you that have those boards probably haven't had this experience, but how can I base, my feedback on what that company is like other than what I've experienced from this point on?
If your experience is like that from the get-go, then Jesus
but this is my point. It's done.
I wouldn't want to go back to them with any issues with a board.
This is can you imagine what they'd be like? And oh my goodness, like, the first thing I asked, I said, these are the boards that I've ridden. Like, I didn't, specifically touch on any names, and it was like, oh, ours are better than all of those. And you're just like, whoa, dude.
Calm down.
Like, a Ferrari's not better than a Nissan Micro. It really depends on, if you don't have Ferrari money, then how can it ever be the best one for you?
That's it.
You're charging a few, like, £1,000 for a skateboard and you claim yours is the best, and you've got the shoddiest customer service on the planet. Anyone that doesn't know what shoddy mean, it means they suck. It's like, I have never been this disgusted with a company that I've spoke to on the phone. I mean, not in the skateboard world, I mean in general. The premise of having a business and selling a product is to service customers and take their money and give them a product in exchange. If you are failing to do that, like, how can I have any confidence in your product or anything that you make or anything that company stands for? So, like, I'm saying it now, even if they, for whatever reason, see this video and decide, crap, we've messed up, let's get in contact with these guys. Their product will never be featured on the channel, ever. Because that was the most disgusting interaction I've had on the phone. And it's a nice way for me to be able to go, do you know what, guys? You guys asked for that product. We looked at the feedback in the comment section. We were literally tallying up all of the comments to see which one was the most requested board. And it was a Trampa board, so we thought, let's try get one. Let's see if we can buy one of those boards.
We just wanted to get a board that you guys wanted to see at the end of the day. And we just got shut down like that.
So instead, we're going to go for the one that I can never pronounce, the lacrosse or is it lacrosse that you pronounce it, or lacroix, or
that weren't out of the 3 boards, was it? It's the
It's not, but like, in terms of those high-end boards that are quite expensive, we'll get one of those.
And bio boards.
Yeah, no, you're still obsessed with those.
Please, somebody tag bio boards.
But I think
bio
realistically,
boards, I love you.
Your
boards are awesome. Please send us a demo board to try out.
Write them a love note, mate. See what happens.
I might have to.
But what is it? Lacrosse? How do you say the name of those boards?
You're gonna really make me look like an idiot on camera like that.
It's fine. But you guys know exactly what we're talking about. The La boards.
La quoi?
La quoi? You guys know exactly what we're talking about. We're gonna get one. We're gonna go online and buy one. And then
unless we get shut down by that company as well. Every skateboard company's shutting us down. They want to put us out of business, you know.
Oh man, no, that's the first time anything like that's ever happened, and I hope to God it's the last. But like I said, we're gonna get one of those La boards in.
La quoi?
And La Croix, and we're also going to get the Walgo board that was featured in that post.
Yeah, the Walgo board looks pretty dope. I actually like the look of that board.
Yeah, I'm pumped to see what that's like. Walgo is a company that I like from a distance. It looks like what they're doing looks great. I like the look of some of the boards, not all of them, but some of them really, really look nice. And the one that was featured in the last post on Instagram, I really like.
Yeah, because I haven't actually seen a lot or heard a lot about Walgo lately over like YouTube and all the rest of it. So yeah, hopefully that'll be a dope board to ride. Yeah, for sure. It's one of those weird ones. So like this is clearly just a ranting podcast, but it's one that I honestly felt had to be made. I'd say I'm speechless, but we both know I'm disappointed. I really wanted to try that board out because comparing it to the Evolve board, it was sort of very similar, but was faster and potentially better range. So I'm always down for that. So the fact that we reached out to the company and spoke to them and just essentially just got someone that was totally rude over the end of the phone there was just, a bit of a disappointment for me. But, oh well, the world still goes on.
If it was a phone call where we were sat there trying to convince them to give us a board for free, I'd be like, I completely understand your reaction. I literally said that I'm trying to find out more information so I can make the decision on buying one of these. And I'd really like, even if it means paying, don't mind how much, to try one of these boards out.
Yeah.
And you tell me that you don't have the time. You don't have the time. I'm a busy man. I don't have the time to talk to you about this.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, did he just seriously just say that?
I'm
I don't have time. I'm a busy man.
Why did you answer the phone to talk to a customer then?
Jesus, man.
Oh my goodness. I've never seen anything like this, but guys, I'm being serious. Stay away.
And also, if you're watching the podcast, tag them in it as well, please.
Yeah, tag them in it so they can see it. I'll put a snippet of this on Instagram because honestly, stay away from that company. When you see something online that looks too good to be true, a lot of the times it is, and this is the perfect example of that. Customer service makes up, probably after you've essentially made the actual decision on buying the board, access to parts and service centres fall way last in comparison to customer service.
That's what I mean. It's like your boosted board. How many times did that go wrong? But they had amazing customer service, and every time it went wrong, you got it sorted practically every single time without any issues.
I was irritated about it, but when we were in London, I was ready to buy another booster board. And there was one point, if you've watched this channel for a while, and my Instagram, that I had 2 booster board stealths.
Yeah.
So even when one kept breaking, my solution was buy 2, and then you can switch.
Then you can alternate between them. So because of the customer service and how good it was, you didn't want to go to any other board.
Yeah,
you wanted to stay with your boosted board.
Exactly, I felt comfortable doing that. And if the board went wrong and I paid 1,500 or whatever it was for the board, and the customer service was crap, I would never ever consider looking back at them.
No, you'd be absolutely savage, wouldn't you?
But they were the customer service was good. It was an irritating process to have to send it back, package it. They covered the costs of shipping it back, all of that kind of stuff.
At the end of the day, when it did go wrong, you was going to get it sorted.
And you buy one of their boards, you decide you don't want it, you could, when they were in business, return the board and get your money back. Same with a lot of the other companies that are out there. You can buy their boards, and if you don't get on with it, you can return the board.
Yeah.
I'm stunned. With these guys, realistically, it's Trampa, mate. Dear God.
Oh, I can't wait for season 2.
You're
season 2 of the podcast is going to be dope. I cannot wait.
Companies like that, how do you expect to stay in business when you're rude to people that are trying to spend money on your product?
Yeah, it is bad. It was a bad experience, and whether or not the bloke was just having a bad day on the phone, it's
inexcusable. Then don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
Or pass it to somebody else.
The way that he spoke to you is just totally unacceptable, really.
Jeez. But it's fine. It is what it is.
And we'll move on.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to make one of these podcasts to let you guys know the issue that we had.
Yeah. I think this type of stuff is important because just doing a quick social media post saying had a really crap experience with Trampa, that doesn't really summarize what happened. So that's why I wanted to add as much context as I could to this video so you guys know how things unfolded. And
that's it. And obviously, because a lot of you are asking about the Trampa boards in the videos, commenting, try the Trampa board out. That's exactly what we tried to do. So, we tried for you guys. We really did.
go for another company. Honestly, like don't waste your time with them. Don't waste your money, because if anything does, if I was a much more timid person, and you called somebody up, and that's the way they acted.
Yeah.
Let's say we had one of their boards, we bought one without speaking to them online. We just went online and bought one, and something went wrong with it, and that's the way that you were treated. Would you even feel comfortable calling them back again?
Oh no, yeah, it wouldn't be a nice experience, would it?
I can imagine they'd be the type of people to be like, no, there's nothing wrong with the product, it's your fault. And it's just be like, okay, you guys are nice. But yeah, no, never again. Because I hate to let's do it, because I know some of you love to hear this and some of you hate to hear it. If that was Evolve, there would have been two options. That's the swear word on the podcast now, isn't it?
Evolve. If that was Evolve.
If that was Evolve, you'd have had two options. You'd have had the option of, realistically, the main option that would have been offered is probably you could just buy the board, try it. If it doesn't work, you can have it back. And on top of that, I've never met the guys at the Duxford warehouse, the Evolve Repair Centre in the UK, or service centre, but every time I've called them, I have 1,000,001 questions for the guy there. The guy there's name, I think his name's Matt. He is happy to literally just waffle to me about everything that I need him to explain to me in as much detail as he can go into. He's happy to just sit there and be like, customer, I'm going to give you the time. I'm going to let you know everything about that subject that I know. Every time I've called them to ask a question, they've been completely fine to just break it down for me like a fraction. It's not just them, it's also boosted, because when you have issues and they do the troubleshooting thing, you can call up different service centres and repair centres like the one in Den Haag in the Netherlands. Call them up, they're more than happy to speak to me about everything. The guy that was repairing my board knew me by name because he had the same board 6 times. And this is what I'm talking about. That experience makes you go, do you know what? These guys are worth spending the money on, because it's not just give us your money and piss off. It's, you need something, we'll speak to you afterwards, it's fine. And that makes you want to be loyal. That makes you want to stick around with that company. So when you get experiences like this, guys, what view can you have of the company from there? So Trampa, never. Never. But anyways, back onto a more positive light. Are we going to make this podcast 10 episodes, or are we going to cut it at 9 and then jump onto season 2 from there? What is...
I think we'll do 10. 10's a nice round number.
Yeah.
And then we can jump on to season 2. We'll take a bit of a break. Got some things going on, things getting reorganised, some cool little things that I'm happy about. So
new podcasting set.
New podcast. Yeah, don't give too much away.
Okay. New mics.
It's all top secret.
Yeah. Need tech for recording everything. No more laptop in the middle. Shh. Am I getting too much?
You've said too much.
Okay, said too much. Guests. Skateboard manufacturers.
Stop. Stop right there.
There's a lot coming, guys. There's a lot coming. If you've watched this podcast all the way to the end, I'm sorry, but I had to rant. I genuinely had to rant. This was the most bullshit experience I've had with a manufacturer in my life, period. So it had to be shared to save anyone else the drama of picking up the phone or perhaps pulling the trigger on one of their boards and then finding out the people there are terrible. So it had to be covered.
Yeah, we can't leave the last podcast to be one like this. We need to end series 1 on a high note.
We'll do that. We shall do that. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching, listening. Make sure that you're rating the podcast wherever you're listening to it or watching it, subscribing, and also liking the videos. If you've got any questions or any requests for future episodes or boards that you want us to see, comment down below. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, if you're not, jump on from wherever you're listening to it to YouTube so you can leave a comment down below. But as always, guys, thank you for rocking with us, and looking forward to touching base on the next episode and the next video.
Yeah, next video.
Which is Ownboard Bamboo versus Evolve GTR Bamboo.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Brace yourselves,
I bet you guys can't wait for that one.
Just bear in mind the circumstances of what we're looking at. The Evolve literally costs double the price. So if you're sat there thinking that the Ownboard is going to be better than the GTR, even though it costs half the price, think about it. It's a good board, but I'll go into more in the video. A nice, what is it, 19 long video comparison?
Lovely 19-minute long video for you.
If you like long videos, it's done now as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all ready to rock and roll.
So the podcast is obviously going to drop before. That's what we were editing today. So by the time you're watching this podcast, that video will probably be live as well. That
will be live, yeah, because last video was a podcast, wasn't it? So we need to chuck a...
So we'll drop 2 videos today.
Well, yeah, can do, yeah.
Hey. You want to sign off? Or
have
anything else?
Yeah, no, I'm all good anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, like Chris said, don't forget to subscribe, and rate on the podcast wherever you're watching from. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you for rocking with us, guys.
Peace.
Peace out.